Hello, Bells Up Studio, and welcome to today's 20-minute strength set. You have a little bit of power, a little bit of cardio, a little bit of strength mixed into some 1-by-1 work to rest ratios. You will need 2 kettlebells for today's class. Make them moderate weight and something that you can push over your head at the same time for at least 5 reps. This is not a class that you want to go super heavy with. We're going to focus a little more on speed and a little more on solid reps. You will need one of those bells for a light warm-up, so just make sure you have that out. You can also substitute a few things here. So if you've got some heavier bells or bells that are just lying around, maybe stay close to those in case you want to change it up a little bit. So I'll suggest what you could do for those. So let's go ahead and start out our first movement. We're just going to go through this warm-up one time, each movement about 45 seconds. We're going to start with a pry squat. So what you're going to do is bring your kettlebell between your feet, clean it up to your chest, so you can join me here, and then just sit down into a low squat. So this is the squat that I don't want you to do when you're doing a squat normally with weight. We're going to drop all the way to the bottom and kind of find a spot where you're in your lowest point without tension. If you're someone that has a hard time doing this with body weight and you kind of round, holding a weight at your chest is going to provide a counterbalance. So if you push it in front of you, you'll probably notice you'll be able to keep your spine a little bit taller here. So just kind of push your elbows into your inner thighs, your thighs into your elbows. You can roll around just a little bit, drop your hips just a little bit here. Breathe in through your nose, out through your mouth. We're going to hold this position for about 10 more seconds, and then we're going to take a kettlebell arm bar. If you've never done an arm bar or you don't feel confident in these ones yet, I'm going to have you do them with body weight, which I will show you. If you're doing it with a kettlebell, you want to make sure your eyes are on the bell the whole time and your arm is totally locked out. Let's set your kettlebell down in 3, 2, and 1. So go ahead and pick up your weight for your arm bar if you've done them before and you're comfortable with that. If you want to do it without a weight, you're just going to follow me here. So we're going to lay down in a position like we're going to do a Turkish get-up. You're going to bring your kettlebell up, and then that leg is going to come in and close to your body. So it's not out to the side like a get-up. The heel scoots in close, and that leg is kind of in a parallel line with your shoulder. Then your opposite arm is going to come long. Your opposite leg should be long and straight here too. Now I want you to think of pushing yourself over, stacking your shoulders and your hips on top of each other without arching your back, and letting your knee just come down to the ground as much as you can while still being able to keep your arms straight and your kettlebell supported. You can also do this with a dumbbell, and like I said here, you can do it with body weight. Give your pelvis a tiny tuck here and kind of control your thoracic spine, your rib cage, your middle part of your bod here. We don't want to have an overly arched back. Now take a look up at your kettlebell or your hand and see if you can push your knuckles to the ceiling a little more, maybe push your head into your arm a little bit more, and just try to breathe through your nose into your rib cage. So we want to think of past the upper chest into that lower portion of the chest where your lungs are. And you can expand your rib cage, expand your diaphragm here. Let's hold for 3, 2, roll to your back, grab onto your weight, pull it to your chest, and then bring it down to the side. We're going to bring it around our head and do your opposite side. So again, you can do this with body weight, just like I am here. Let's roll over. We'll do the same thing again. Bell comes up. The bell side arm is nice and straight. The shoulder pulls to the floor. Opposite leg is straight. Opposite arm is straight. Whoops, I did my legs backwards. You should have your bent leg on the bell side. You're using that to flip yourself over. And then just you're going to let your hips come to the floor. So I'm really trying to think of letting my chest sort of fall to the floor, but this arm should not be coming behind me or in front of me. I want it straight up, and I want to see if I can keep my shoulders and my hips in the same place. So you don't want to be leaning back like this. You also don't want to be so far forward that you're arching your back right here. So try to find that in between for you. If you're close to a wall, you can also push your foot into a wall like I'm doing here, which can give you a little more stability on that side in your hip and allow you to relax the other side. Keep looking at your bell. We're going to hold this for 5, 4, 3, 2, go ahead, roll onto your back, pull your bell down to your chest, roll to the side, and come up to your feet because we are about to get started with our interval set for today's strength and cardio portion of class. For our interval sets today, they're going to last about 5 minutes in total, but you're going to be working for half of that time, resting for half of that time. You'll need your 2 kettlebells. The first set that you have is a double rack squat. If you have access to squat wedges or like elevating your heels, you can do that today. I want you to pick those 2 bells again that are light to moderate so you can move as fast as you can under those bells and get as many squats as you can, clean and beautiful squats in that 30-second interval. Be sure to count the number each time that you do so you can try to match it it as we go through these sets. You have 3 total sets of everything that I'm going to describe. Your next thing is a double kettlebell swing or double swing cleans. When you're doing your double swing clean, I'm going to show you really fast. You want to make sure that you give yourself a little pause at the top and then drop your bells. So this is a good time to practice those double swing cleans. They can be quite challenging with timing and breath work sometimes, but they're how we pick up bells, so it's good to practice them. If you know how to do double swings, you can take those here. And if you want to practice 2-hand swings, just make sure that you have a heavy single bell that you can switch to for this portion. That's totally fine. After that, we're going to take seated strict presses. So we're going to sit on the floor or in a chair and push the bells over our head. You can, of course, stand if you need to. I would recommend if your hips feel really tight and you can't keep your shoulders over your hips seated on the ground, that you do sit in a chair or something that you can keep your feet on the floor while you're seated. After that, we're gonna go for laying presses. So laying presses, we're gonna come into that position that we did with the arm bar. So you're gonna lay down, bring your belt up. Level 1 would be here with both feet on the floor, opposite hand can go to the side, and you're just gonna bring the belt down, push it up. It's just like a regular chest press. Level 2 is lifting that leg and trying to really control your core here. This is more of a core exercise, the way it's programmed today, than a chest exercise. So you're gonna feel it in your chest, but I'm going more for abs and core in this one, keeping your abdominal wall and your just core all the way around stable and strong throughout the lift. So we'll do both sides and then we'll do it again. So this whole thing again, 3 times. We're gonna get those 30-second rest breaks. I want you to get your bells out because we're gonna get started right away. So go ahead, bring them out. Let's go ahead, find your squat position in 3, 2, and 1. So remember, you can lift up your heels in your goblet squat. I want you to try to take, or your double rack squat, as many of these as you can. Full all the way to the ground. If you need to take a pause, try to just stand with the weights. It's not that long of an interval, and if you need a little bit less, you can always hold one of the bells at your chest in a goblet squat position and do the same thing. You're here for 3, 2, and 1. If I came in a little hot for you without giving you a lot of warning that we're gonna squat right then, don't worry, you're gonna get to make it up in the next set. We have our double swings, double swing cleans, or your 2-hand swings coming up next. I'm gonna take double swing cleans the first round, then I'll give some of you that are attempting double swings, if you've done those before, some form tips on those when we get to our second round. So double swing cleans, this one's for you. We're gonna start in 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. So I'm behind my bells. I can either turn my palms slightly in or slightly out before I take the clean, and I wanna shoot my elbows back, catch them close. Hold for just a second or 2, then let them drop. This, my friends, right here, is one of the hardest positions because I'm letting them just drop and get weightless, and then catching and thrusting right away. You have just about 10 seconds here, and if you need a little less, again, try holding your bells up in the rack a little bit longer. We have 5, 4, 3, 2, bells come down. Seated presses are coming up next. We're gonna try to press both. 5 is about the limit I want you to hit here. So if you hit 5 pretty easily, you can keep going, or you can stop there if that took a lot out of you. Okay, 15 seconds. Feet can be wide, they can be close, and again, you can be seated on a bench or chair with your feet pressing down. I actually love that version a lot because it does take some strain out of the hip flexors if you're not exactly flexy right there. Okay, bring your bells up in 3, 2, and 1. Sometimes I get asked how to get your bells up when you're in this seated position, and the way that I did it there with kind of propping them up on my legs really is like the best way. This is a hard one to get into. So again, if this thing, putting them here and kind of flipping them into the rack position is not for you, try doing it seated because you can stand up clean and then press them. You've got 3, 2, and 1. You could also stand up and then walk yourself to the floor and sit down with them, which is kind of like a fun reverse Turkish get-up situation, but I digress there. We have just about 15 seconds to catch your breath. I don't know why I'm standing because we have laying presses next. And remember, the extra challenge is to elevate the foot on the bell side and hold it at 90 degrees. That is not required in this one at all. Let's go ahead and hit your first side in 3, 2, and 1. So I'm pushing my feet down. My core is nice and tight. My belly button's pulling through the floor. I would lift up that foot and then bring the other side down. This hand can be driving into the floor, or that back of the arm can be driving into the floor. You just want to make sure you're making a fist with that side. Try not to let your bell side lift off the floor here. Arm can be at about a 45-degree angle, just like a normal chest press, or close to your body with your palm facing in. You're here for 3, 2, and 1. Let's go ahead, bring your bell to the opposite side. We have 2 sides to get done, and then we're gonna come right into our squat sets here. Good old push day, squat and push. That means the next class in this program is probably going to involve hinging and pulling. You guys might see how this is starting to shake out in our sets. That's good, because your body parts that you're working today are going to get a little bit of a rest when you do your next session. That's how it should be, right? So we feel really strong. Let's go ahead, bring our bell up in 3, 2, and 1. You're going to roll onto your back, push it over your head here. You can bring that opposite foot up. This is the view of my hand staying down. My right side is a lot easier for me than my left. I am a little weaker over there. Here's the way that you could do your hand pulling in here. I still like mine coming out a bit to that 45-degree angle, because honestly, it feels a little better on my shoulder. You might have the same feeling. When you bring the bell down, try not to do what I did there and just drop it. You want to kind of pull it down and roll to your side. You've got 3, 2, and rest here. Very nice, my friends. Come up to your feet. We have 2 more rounds of this same stuff. Remember, in these short classes, I want you to be all in, full ass here, full ass in these squats. Try to take every interval to your absolute max for what you can do with good form in the set. I want you to concentrate and bring your A game to all of these sets, especially this one. Here we go, 3, 2, and 1. Kettlebells come up, booty is nice and tight. We're gonna sit and squat. Try to keep your weight in the center parts of your feet. Let those knees travel forward. See if you can relax your head. I have a tendency to kind of lift my chin. Try, if you need to, look up, lifting your eyes instead of your chin as you do these squats. You have about 10 seconds here. Shouldn't feel this overly in your neck muscles. You've got 3, 2, and rest. It's normal if you do, if you're starting and holding bells are a lot, but we don't want to do unnecessary straining. So try to really relax your head and your face when you're in these positions. Okay, double swings. Swing cleans, you guys know what you're doing. Double swings, the bells are gonna be so close that they almost touch. I like a hammer grip, so my palm's facing in. It allows me to grip a little bit harder and not have as much width from the handles facing horizontally. When they're vertical, you can get the bells a little closer. That's advantageous for your swings. Let's start out in 3, 2, and 1. So your double swing is set up the exact same way as every other type of swing, and it's exactly like doing 2 single arm swings. So I'm thinking of squeezing my armpits really tight and just keeping myself nice and stable. If you are a little off on one side, one bell might hit the other. You don't want any rotation. It's a lot of torque here, so you gotta try to control these things. You've got 3, 2, and 1. They will take your breath away, and I say this a lot in classes, that learning to double swing, or at least practicing it once you feel like your single arm swing is really good, can be advantageous if you're doing training with kettlebells at home, because these 2 bells right here is like me swinging a 24-kilo kettlebell with 2 hands. So I'm getting a little bit more challenge on my core, but I'm getting a really heavy swing with 2 moderate weight kettlebells here. Let's go ahead, hit your presses in 3, 2, and 1. So again, here's how we do it. I'm just gonna pop them up with my thighs, just like I would do dumbbells. If you've got a set of dumbbells and those are a little more comfortable for you pressing, you can of course use them. I like the position of the kettlebell being here because it allows for this kind of natural movement of the shoulder versus the weight being distributed on the outsides. You've got 3, 2, and 1. I think I'll pretty much mostly press with kettlebells for the entirety of my fitness career instead of dumbbells or even a barbell. And machines do have their time and place. So if you're doing it with free weight, I think One of my favorite movements with kettlebells, it's not the flashy kettlebell stuff like the swings or the get-ups, even though I love those, even the snatches. This would be one of them because I think the kettlebell shape is far superior to having good shoulder health in this movement. Let's go ahead, hit your laying press on your left side. 3, 2, and 1. So remember, feet are down. We have contraction and control in our core, and our opposite hand is down. So we're trying out this position, not moving your right side obliques here. If you're lifting your leg, bring your feet in a little bit closer. If they're too far apart, it's gonna feel real hard to keep your balance from this side to this one. And if you're lifting your leg here, push down your opposite foot really hard. You've got 3, 2, and 1. If you let that other side get a little sleepy and the lower half of your body, it's not doing you any favors. We only have one more round of everything after this last set of laying presses. So on this opposite side, give that stable foot a nice big push to the floor and see if that makes a difference, and maybe makes a difference in how you approach your last set when we get there. Push your bell up, guys, in 3, 2, and 1. There we go. And on this side, we will try that out. So I'm digging my left foot to the floor, digging my left palm to the floor. I actually kind of like squeezing my palm and pushing my arm into the floor here, and really try to make sure that this leg isn't escaping forward. See if you can keep it right over your knee for that maximum work in your core. You have just about 10 seconds here. Remember, you're gonna pull your bell down gently and roll to the side. We've got 3, 2, and 1. Very good, guys. We only have 5 minutes left in this class. Time sure flies when you're getting sweaty with kettlebells, right? So bring those things in front of you. Again, with all of these shorter classes, if you want more of a robust training session, these are pretty simple programs. You can look at the written version of the program if you forget what the moves are and keep going on your own. You could probably repeat this another 3 rounds and get a solid 30-minute session and feel really complete if you want a little bit more and have time. Your squats are on in 3, 2, and 1. If you've been squatting with wedges often, which I do now myself quite a bit, sometimes it's nice to try squatting without them just to feel the difference. And I'm very aware more so of getting my whole foot pushing into the floor and getting my center of mass forward a little more. It is not bad for your knees to go towards your toes or over your toes when you're squatting. You just want to keep your upper body pretty vertical. You've got 3, 2, and rest. Squats are done. We have your double swings, your 2-hand swings, or your double cleans. I think I'm gonna join the clean crew on this one and support you guys through your last set of these doubles. I think cleans are one of the more tricky movements to master with kettlebell training, especially the double clean. Okay, roll your shoulders back a little bit. Breathe in through your nose. Give me a big breath out through the mouth. Relax your shoulders. Let's take your ballistic set in 3, 2, and 1. We want to take that out breath as the hips extend. You don't want to breathe out once you've caught them because you're not using that breath to your advantage in the actual lift of the kettlebells. Breathe in through your nose, breathe out through your mouth. You have just about 10 seconds, a little bit less now to complete 1 or 2 reps. You've got 5, 4, 3, 2, take that rest break, bring your bells down. Final set of your seated presses. Of course, you can always go to standing. You can always go also to 1 bell at your chest if 2 is getting a little heavy. This position, I love it. You guys will notice I put this in programs a lot because it forces you to stay stacked here to here. You can't cheat this as easily when you're seated. So you get a lot of good positioning to breathe well in this movement. Clock is on for your last set here. 3, 2, and 1. My bells come up. If they get kind of heavy for you too, you can always try this 1 at a time. We've done this before in classes, 1 at a time. So that's an option if you need a little less than the double press today. I want you to try to stick with this double for 1 to 2 more reps. You have less than 10 seconds at this point. So close to being done. You've got 4, 3, 2, and bells come down to the floor. We have 1 more set to get up to in our Final little bit here, final little bit. I kind of blacked out there for a second. My brain was like, where are we? What are we doing? We're doing our last set of leg presses. That's where you're at. So good news is we get to finish on the floor in this 20-minute set today. Okay, come on down. Let's get ready for your final set of leg presses. I'm gonna show you an advanced level for this one that you could take in the future or even this round. You've got 3, 2, and 1. So the absolute advanced level would be straight legs here. And this is a spot where you really have to be able to control your core and know how to not load into your low back because that core has to stay really tight. So for me, this is sort of a precursor to be able to do fully flat here, because if you're letting your ribs sway here, it's not gonna feel great on your low back. Almost there, guys. 1 minute left of work, or of class, I should say. 3, 2, and 1. 30 seconds left of work. Let's go ahead, bring your bell onto your opposite side. If you're taking that straight leg version, or in the future you want to take it, make sure your body feels like a plank. Make sure you're actively pushing your heels away from you and pulling your toes back towards your face. You've got to be really tight to feel really strong in that position without having your legs bent and the support of being able to push your feet actively into the floor. You could also push them into a wall if you have straight legs. Let's go ahead, bring your bell up. Last time. 3, 2, and 1. So we would be here, pushing. Notice my foot on this side. It's not sleepy. Flex. Are you guys sensing a trend with your kettlebell training? Everything is nice and tight when we're executing the lift. You cannot be limp with your body. You have to be tight or loose. And the loose doesn't happen during the lift. You have 3, 2, and 1. Bells Up Studio, you completed yet another 20-minute set today. I hope you liked this push and squat. The pull and hinge is coming for you if you're following this program. And 20-minute classes, they'll get you nice and sweaty today. I hope you enjoyed this one. I will see you guys in your next session. Remember, get real, get strong, bells up. Bye.